page. Today we'll be making jollof rice, also known as West African jollof rice. In Tanzania or in Kiswahili it's called pilau. So welcome everyone. First we started by adding cooking oil, and we're heating our pan. Then aftermath we'll be adding red onions first, followed by garlic, ginger. That is our third ingredient. And the fourth ingredient that we'll be using is potatoes, together with spices. With spices we have jollof spices, or also known as pilau spices. Also we'll be using salt and fresh peas. So looking at our oil now, our pan is already heated. So let's start by adding our fresh red onions. Then we are going to stir till they are all caramelized or turned brown. Welcome everyone who is joining in. Today we are making jollof rice. So you want to make sure in a jollof rice there are as many onions, because onions add a really nice smell together with flavor in your jollof rice. Thank you for everyone who is tuning in. So the one of the most key ingredients in your jollof rice are the onions. Make sure you cut one large red onion. You're going to fry your onions till they're all turned brown. Then we'll be adding our garlic. So today we'll only be making jollof rice with our potatoes, but previous live stream I made a jollof rice using a beef broth. Depends with what type of broth you want to use. Today I won't be using any broth, just a normal jollof rice. So here you have to stir your onions till they are all turned brown. That's when you will be adding your garlic, fresh garlic. So the quantity of garlic to be adding is about 1 finger spoon of garlic. As you can see here now, our onions are gradually turning into brown. Make sure they are all in brown color before adding your garlic. Welcome everyone who is joining in. Today we are making West African jollof rice, or in Swahili it's called pilau. So thank you for everyone who is tuning in my page. So as you see, our onions are gradually turning into brown color, then we will add our garlic. You know, garlic in your jollof rice adds a really nice flavor. Also, we're going to add a fresh ginger. We are going to add fresh ginger also in our jollof rice. As you can see now, most of the onions together with garlic, they are now turning brown. So after all your first initial ingredients, they are all brown, that's when you're going to start adding your spices. So the spices that I'm using, they are these ones here, and they are called pilau spices, locally made here in Tanzania. You can add as many spices as you want. So we are going to stir a bit. Also, we are going to add a small amount of salt. We'll be adding salt. Welcome everyone. What kind of pan are you using? I'm using I don't know what it's called, but it's similar to cast iron, but not that cast iron. It's a little bit heavy if you look at it. It's a little bit heavy, not as other pans. Actually, this is a vintage pan. I bought it at a local market at vintage stores. So now I'll be adding a small amount of water. Yes, stainless. It's a little bit heavy. It's a little bit heavy compared to, I think when you, in a comparison with cast iron pan, my pan is about maybe 7 in comparison with cast iron. So you have to stir a little bit your ingredient. Then we are going to cover only, we're going to let it simmer for only 2 minutes. For only 2 minutes. I bet that smells good. Welcome, Jeremy. Yeah, it really does smell good. After okay, else that we'll be adding our potatoes here. So these are the ingredients that I'll be making jollof rice together with coconut beans curry. So these are the ingredients for the beans curry, but with our jollof rice, we will be adding potatoes together with our fresh peas. So I'm going to show you guys fresh peas. Let me take them from the fridge. So we will be adding also fresh peas in our jollof rice. So if you look at our mixture, it is simmering. I just cooked for only about 2 minutes. Then now we will be adding also tomatoes, grated tomatoes. Make sure to grate your tomatoes. I did blend mine, so we will be adding tomatoes now. Together we are going to add early our potatoes for them to become soft. Together with our fresh peas. So you are going to stir for some time. And let it simmer for another 2 minutes. So for everyone who is joining in, today we are making jollof rice, West African jollof rice, or also in Swahili known as pilau. So as I said, the key ingredients that we're using here in our jollof rice are, first it is the masalas. Make sure you have the correct masalas. Here in Tanzania, they are locally sold in our markets. But then also garlic. You need to have garlic. You need to have ginger. You also need to have tomatoes, about 2 tomatoes. But also you need to have red onions. Also something else, peas. Peas just an additional to make your food to be more nutritious. But also broth. It can be beef broth, chicken broth, depending on how you want the flavor of your jollof rice. So as of today, we are not using any broth. We're just using the ingredients that we have. The last time I did a live stream in the last week, I did use beef broth. So the taste between a jollof rice that has beef broth and the one that doesn't have, it's a little bit different, but it's regarding on how you want. As we can see here, our mixture, It's currently simmering. We are going to let it simmer for only half a minute. Then we'll be adding our rice and start simmering at a very low heat. Welcome everyone, welcome for everyone who is joining in. So now we will be adding our rice. Welcome everyone. So looking at our mixture, it is currently simmering. So we are going to start adding our rice. I'm going to add a small amount of salt again. So I'll be adding 2.5 cups of rice. So now we are going to stir. You can see your peas. So peas is a really great addition to your jollof rice, as peas are a really good source of proteins. So when you add fresh peas to your jollof rice, you're adding more nutrients to your rice. So I'm going to add a very small amount of water. I'm going to stir for a bit and let it simmer in a very low heat for another only 10 minutes. I'm going to let it simmer for only 10 minutes. Welcome, Loki. Welcome. So today we are making West African jollof rice, and now we are in the last stage of allowing our jollof rice to simmer. So we are going to let it simmer for about 10 minutes. Then our jollof rice is going to be ready by this time. So these are the key things while making your jollof rice. First, I said make sure you have one large red onion, make sure you have potatoes, make sure you have garlic, you have ginger. Also, you can add fresh peas for additional nutrients in your jollof rice. You can also add tomatoes. Tomatoes is also a key ingredient. So something else that is optional, you can add beef broth and beef or chicken broth regarding on how your jollof rice you want it to appear. So yeah, thank you for everyone who joined. So now we are going to let it simmer for another 10 minutes. So stay tuned for how our jollof rice is going to appear. So for everyone who is currently watching, kindly show some support on my channel. Kindly subscribe, share my live stream or my shorts. Especially in my shorts, I always post very quick and easy recipes for you guys to catch up on. The last recent recipe that I did post on my short is making guacamole, Mexican guacamole. It's a really nice salad, especially for pairing with your jollof rice. Yes, so stay tuned and thank you all for staying and watching. So I will post in my community how our jollof rice has turned out. Make you guys wait for another 10 minutes without talking about anything, so stay tuned, and you'll see how our jollof turned out. Peace. Thank you.